Hey everyone, it's Ashisha with She's So Crafty, also known as SSC Customs and Supplies. Welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to show you all how I actually fully wrap my straight wine tumbler all the way from the top to the bottom and around the curve using my Cricut mug press. So stay tuned for that video. Before we get started, however, go ahead and click that subscribe button as well as the bell notification so that way when I do post new content, you'll be the first person notified. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get my camera turned around so we can go ahead and get started. Okay, so like I said in today's video, I want to show you all how I actually was able to achieve this look with a fully sublimated wine tumbler using my Cricut mug press. And it sublimated from the top to the bottom, as you can see, all the way around using the wine or the Cricut mug press. So first, what you want to do, obviously, is have your blank tumbler. So I have mine. I'm going to go ahead and pop off this lid. And I am going to use my microfiber cloth that I showed you all in my latest video. Again, this is a Chalk Couture fuzzing cloth. On one side, it's a little bit more rougher or fuzzy. On this side, it's a little bit more smoother. Not exactly sure if it's a microfiber cloth, but I call it that. It sounds good. So this is what I'm going to use. I found that when I use this, it just seems to help a lot with removing any fuzz or any extra particles or anything that may be on the actual tumbler. So I have this wiped off, and then I have my design printed off here. And you want to make sure, again, like I said, you always want to make sure that you are measuring each and every tumbler that you have. So what I did for my tumblers is, again, I went and measured it from top all the way to the bottom, since we're doing a fully sublimated one. And this is measuring at exactly 4.5 inches. 4.5 inches to that tip right there. And then around, it measures at exactly 10 inches right there. So what I did was I created a template. I took my design and I just shrunk it down and measured it out to be 10.1 going across and then 4.6 high, since my tumbler measured 10 inches across and 4.5 going up in height. Again, like I told you, I always add the 1/8 of an inch more to it. So I did the 4.6, 10.1. So that is what I have here. And so since I've already used the fuzzing cloth to remove any fuzz, I'm going to move that out of my way. And the same goes with my skinny white tumblers. I do the same thing with my wine tumblers. I will turn it all the way around or turn it upside down and lay it flat on the table. And then my design obviously is this way. I'm going to flip it upside down. And now for this part, I'm not going to actually tape it just yet. I'm just going to wrap it around the tumbler and get it tight, so that way I can see exactly where I want it to be. Make sure that it is flush with the edge of the cup, and that is tight here. And there's only a little bit of lip for the seam itself. So I have that there. Then what I am going to do is here, what I want to do is I'm going to just take my finger actually, and I'm just going to rub it down until I start to feel that curve, which is right there. So I don't know if you can see, but I'm starting to feel that curve right there. So what I did was I took my tape measure again, and I laid it on top of this flat. Again, you're not taping down anything. You can if you want to. I just choose not to because you're going to have to take it apart anyways. So I am measuring from the tip again down to where I feel that curve, where that curve starts. So here, as you can see, it measures at just below 4 inches. It's actually at 3 inches and 3/4 right there. So what I did is I'm going to take this apart, set the tumbler aside, And then I'm going to flip over my design, but I want to make sure that it's face up. Flip it over, and then what I do is I'm going to take my measuring tape and I'm going to go to the top of my actual design itself. And maybe if I put it on the fuzz and cuff, you might be able to see it better. We'll see. It's probably not the best idea because I don't want to get anything on it, but that's okay. So I'm going to actually take the tape measure, and then I'm going to measure down. I'm going to take my pencil, and I'm going to measure down and mark it at that 3 3/4 mark right there. Just put a dot there. And I'm going to do that in several different places. And as you can see, I've already done it on mine. I have marks there. And so then what I did was, once you have several different marks and they're all measured at that 3 3/4, you want to take a ruler, a flat ruler, anything that has a flat base to where you can draw that line. I had this, and what I did was I just simply used my measuring tape. I lined up my dots, and then I just drew a line straight across. So then that way that gave me that straight line going across. Now as you can see, my dots are a little bit up above where my lines are. I put my line down a little bit below. That was by accident, but I know exactly where my dots are. So that's what we're gonna look for, is those dots. Make sure you get your line centered or aligned with the actual dots and not do it how I did it, but it's still gonna work. So then what you wanna do is now you're gonna create a fringe on here using that space. So because I have a line here already, or dot there, I just created a fringe. Now you can create a small fringe, not too small, but not too big. And then you want to just do that all the way down. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to just make this fringe all the way down. And then I'll show you the rest once we get done. Okay. All right. So now we have that done. So as you can see, there's like a fringe at the bottom of my paper. So now here's the taping part. So again, you want to flip your tumbler over, flip the design over to where the fringe is obviously at the top, and then you want to pull it as tightly as you can. Make sure that it is flush with the top of the cup. And just a fair warning, this process does take up a lot of tape, but I am going to try to do it to where it's not going to use up too much tape. So then I am going to use my heat tape . You probably can't see it because I have clear heat tape now, not the yellow heat tape, but I have that on there. And I didn't put a long enough piece to go over the top. So there we go. So now I have my seam done. So it's nice and tight all the way around. If I pull it like this, there's no gaps, no bubbles or anything like that. So then this is where it starts to take up a lot of tape, because what you want to do is you want to start taping down these pieces, and you want to make sure that you're pulling them tight like this, and make sure that you're pulling them straight up and down like that. So because I've done it with this particular one, I actually made my strips bigger, or my fringe bigger. This one I wanted to show you how it's done when it's smaller. So this will be a first time for me, so we'll see what the results are with the fringe being a lot smaller. But basically what you're going to end up doing is bringing all of your pieces in like this, and some will overlap each other, but that's going to give us that desired look of having a fully sublimated one. So I'm going to go back here to where my seam is. I always like to start with my seam, and then I'm just going to pull those pieces, and you want to try to pull them flat and as tight as you can. And then I'm going to just go in that same direction. And here you don't have to actually have so much tape. And I'm just going to pull them flat and straight upward, because you're going to have a bit of an overlap with these. There we go. So now I'm actually going to take a longer piece and I'm going to go around the curve itself as best as I can, because obviously with it being a curve, it's hard to get it to go straight around. And I'm just going to pull that as tightly as I can. Now I feel like with this particular one, I don't know if it's maybe because of the way in which I taped it, that it may have some lines on here, especially with it being a darker design. With it being a lighter design, you may not see any, but we'll see what happens. There may be a little bit of ghosting on this one in certain spots, but we'll kind of just wait and see what we see. The top, you want to also do the same thing you always do. Follow your overlap. Not sure how I messed that piece up. Anyways, follow your overlap. Go all the way around. And pull as tightly as you can. And then take your scissors, cut slits in it. This is what I meant to show you all in the last one, but I didn't, and this is how I normally do it, and I don't know why I decided not to do that in the last one. I just rubbed it down, and I'm like, that is not how I normally do it, but I did put the little tip in there, and this is just because it allows you to lay it down more flat and evenly without it continuing to raise up. Now this is a new brand of heat tape that I received from a different company. I'm not 100%. It's thicker, a lot thicker than the usual heat tape I get with the yellowish heat tape, yellowish brownish heat tape. This one is definitely a lot thicker. I'm not sure with it being thicker if that's a good thing or what. I am noticing though that I'm not liking the way that it sticks or that it lays. I'm not finding it to lay down as easily as the other one. But this was a different tape that I got from another company than the usual heat tape that I'll buy off of Amazon. So I figured give it a try, see how it works. So yeah, so that's that. So I feel like I got the top part as flush and secure as I can get it. I just noticed that on this end right here is not all the way to the top of the design. I think I may have shifted it a little bit, but for the most part all of it is. So we'll see. So As you can see, and I'll get closer where it's bunched up a lot here. Usually on my last one the last few I did, actually, it didn't do that. So I'm not sure why it bunched up as much today. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just smooth it out. Again, like I said, just use that nail. Don't scratch your design. Just kind of rub it out. Until you can kind of get it as smooth as possible. And then if you rub it out, you kind of get it a smooth texture to where you're satisfied with that. Go ahead and place a piece of tape over it. Pull it nice and tightly. See, it doesn't even stick to the tape dispenser. It's crazy. But yeah, just smooth it out as smooth as you can get it. And then apply a piece of tape there to kind of lay it flat, because that's ultimately what you want, is you want it to just lay flat. So you all just heard my heat press, my Cricut mug press. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera around so that way you can see the Cricut mug press, and then I'll pop this in and show you what I do for that. Okay, so we are back, and I have my Cricut mug press here. As you can see, I have my good old piece of cardboard. Yes, I still use it. Because again, like I said, this is a new piece I did use because my old one, like I said, it's never burned. It's never put off any fumes, any smoke, or anything like that to where I was worried about it. But after using it so long, it does have that wear and tear to it, to where it kind of just flattens out and it doesn't give you that pressure that you need. So yeah, I haven't used, or I threw that one out and I just got a new one. But what I did notice with this one is it's not as skinny as the actual wine tumbler. Let me see if I have a wine tumbler here that I can show you. I have this one. It's not as skinny or as wide. My wine tumbler can actually sort of fit in there. So, or my skinny tumbler can fit in there. So with this one, you don't actually need that cardboard piece. So what I'm going to do is I like to start with my tape, my seam on the inside. And so I'm just going to pop that in there. And I'm just going to let it go. Follow the lights. And then we'll be back once the lights are done. Okay, so that has finished sublimating all of that, but as you can tell, that one spot right there did not sublimate. So I'm just going to turn it around here, and I'm just going to do it again on the other side, just because I want to make sure that I get that side of it. So we'll follow the lights again. They may go out because I didn't actually remove it off of the piece down there, the metal plate. But yeah, see, they went off. And I think that has something to do with the fact that I didn't remove it off that metal plate, fully take it out and then put it back in. So what I like to do at this point is I like to just leave it in here for like an extra 2 minutes. So we'll just go ahead and count down 2 minutes, and then we'll come back and have the reveal. Okay, so it's been about 2 minutes now, about 2 minutes. So let's go ahead and we're going to remove this from here. And then I'm just using a regular old oven mitt. As you can see all the ink has basically bled through that paper. And it's not really bleeding through the paper. It's just stuck to my mitt. Yeah, this tape may not stick very well when you first put it on there, but it definitely sticks afterwards. But you can just kind of see like where it just bled through, and it's not, like I said, it's not bleeding through the paper itself. It's just because that's where the seams are, or the cuts are. So you'll just see it kind of right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this sit here and cool down for a minute, and then once that is cool, because I noticed that this tends to get pretty hot. The outside never gets hot at all. This part right here is just warm, but it's not hot. But that inside gets hot, and these tumblers are very hot coming out of here. So I'm going to go ahead and let that cool down. Then I'm going to turn my camera back around so we can go ahead and do the reveal. Alright guys, so I am back. I have let this cool down just for a little bit, honestly, not too long. Still pretty warm, but it's not to the point where I can't touch it. So I have my handy dandy tools that I like to use. And a lot of times when it's so much tape on here, I just find it easier to just use like an X-Acto knife or some sort of knife to kind of just create a slit in there. But with this, I don't think this is going to work out like I want it to. So I'm just going to use the pointy one instead and just see if I can get some pieces pulled up. There we go. Maybe that'll be what I'll do. I'll go around the whole thing. With the tumblers, I usually can just like rip it off like that from the bottom, and that works perfect. But with this, it's gonna be different. So we're gonna just remove all of this tape. So let me go ahead and show you this. Now that I have all of this tape removed, look at that. Look at that, y'all. It looks pretty darn good. So here you can actually see the seam, and the reason being on this one, let me show you because I'm seeing some of that extra residue left over from the actual paper on here. Okay, not 100% on with this particular tumbler. Let me give you my thoughts why. Several reasons why. First being how I mentioned on here before, like, oh well, it looks like it's burnt here, looks like it's burnt there, it never turned out burnt. Well, with this particular one, you can kind of see it does look sort of burnt in those two spots, which is crazy because it's like never had this problem before. Now the moment that I say, oh yeah, like it doesn't show any burning, I've never seen any burning, blah blah blah, there's burnt marks on here, whatever, this will be mine. Also because it's like a not a seamless design, obviously it's not a seamless design, so if I had a seamless design you wouldn't see that seam there, but because this is not a seamless design, you can clearly see where that seam is, especially because it is dark and light colors, a darker background with lighter colors on top. Secondly, at the bottom, as you can see, yes, we were able to fully sublimate it. Some parts turned out very, very, very nicely, but there are some parts that did not, and hopefully it focuses in on that. So you can see here, where you can kind of see here, there's the overlap there. There was a space that I left open there, so you can see that mark. There's a slight bit ghosting right there at that seam. A little bit more ghosting there. And a few more spaces. However, it did work. I just feel like with this one, I didn't have that issue. And I'm not sure if it's because maybe, like I said, with this one, I cut bigger fringe pieces than a smaller fringe. So maybe that could be the case. Maybe cut bigger fringe pieces. Maybe about a quarter, or not a quarter, but about ½ inch wide for each piece versus this being about ¼ inch. You want to make sure that you try to get them as even as possible. Also, I think maybe if you do lighter colors, that would just work. It would just look a ton better if you do lighter color. So, like I said, I still think this is cute. I'm not 100% like, oh my goodness, that's so beautiful. You know how I always do like in all my videos, but Yeah, that's this one. So, I mean, it turned out okay. I was able to show you exactly how to do this. I will post another video using a different design, something a little bit lighter, so that way you can kind of see and get the full grasp of it. I should have done a video where I did this particular one, but this was really, honestly, this was my tester. I had did this for myself, obviously, because it has my business logo on there. Excuse me. So this was just really just a tester for me. But I definitely want to try to make another one. I've done several, and none of them have turned out like this. So I'm not sure if it's just because of today's video. I don't know, but you guys get the gist. So yeah, stay humble and be kind. And I will be back with another video showing you how to fully wrap and sublimate a wine tumbler from top to bottom and all the way around the curve without all of these minor imperfections. But also understand that we are all imperfectly perfect. So I embrace this cup, and I will keep this for myself and use it because I love it and thought it was very, very cute. So yes, guys, so like I said before, if you have not already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel, as well as click that bell notification down below, so that way when I do post new content, again, I will be trying to post more content on a regular basis, you'll be the first person notified. So I thank you all so much for watching today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully this gave you some ideas of what you can and cannot do, how to achieve a full sublimated look. Again, this is still a full sublimated look. It just has minor imperfections. So again, just follow the steps that I provided you. Instead of using the small fringe, I will probably cut your pieces about 1/2 inch wide for each strip, and then tape them down. Try to get them as straight as you can. Make sure that they are all slightly overlapping each other, so then that way you don't have any gaps in between that will provide that white strip there. But other than that, thank you all for watching. Have a great day. Peace out.